Good afternoon, and thank you for your interest in Is Your Candidate Experience a Crapshoot? Let's Fix It. First, let me start by thanking the entire SHRM New Mexico team for inviting me to present today. Especially, I want to thank Cindy and Rose, who have done a terrific job of keeping me applying to my deadlines and making certain that I was getting information over for both the conference and for the attendees. So thank you to them. And additionally, I want to thank you, the attendees and fellow sponsors, for supporting SHRM New Mexico. Your involvement keeps the regional groups alive, and that's especially important during these trying times. That all said, let's get started reviewing and improving your candidate experience. Candidates are challenged, yes, and in many case scenarios, those obstacles or oversights are things that we in this room can improve for them and for ourselves. I'll explain. 2022 is really the year of the candidate. Why? Because we're at a unique place in history. Talent acquisition, hiring, whatever you want to call it, is really at a juncture, a predicament really. There just aren't enough people to fill all of the roles that we have open. We have categorically low amounts of people who could fill roles. Additionally, we're working against critically low unemployment figures and high workforce participation levels already. There's a demographic birth dip that took place 20 to 30 years ago. Some hypothesize it's the result of the advent and availability of birth control, and others because, in part, women were entering the workforce in greater numbers. Regardless of the cause, there's a birth rate cliff we cannot change, and it's not going away anytime soon. And as a country, we've recently lost almost 1 million of our fellow Americans from COVID, not to mention the lingering and ongoing aspects of long COVID and the like. We'll be dealing with those and the after effects of this pandemic for decades to come. We also have incredibly tight immigration limits on the amount of work visas that will allow potential employees into the United States. Essentially, everyone who wants a job, has one, is already looking or is already moving to a new opportunity. I continue to say that August 2021, between COVID's Delta strain and Omicron's emergence, was our new baseline in the industry. Think of that for a minute. Fall of last year as our new baseline. I recently heard an incredibly telling statistic, also COVID related. There will be an additional 10 million people who will qualify for the ADA classification of disabled and may require workplace accommodations moving forward after we get through this most difficult stage of the pandemic. That said, it's vitally important to recognize from a moral, legal, ethical, and business standards practice, there are no candidates to spare. We need to make the candidate experience work for and reach everyone. When I say candidates are challenged, I often mean by us. It is not something that we do actively in an attempt to deter candidates. It's something that traditionally can happen by accident and evolve over time. Think of how we'll need to accommodate those applicants who, for example, are developing long COVID, the neurodiverse, individuals re-entering the workforce after incarceration, and anyone else for whom your team has had barriers to entry in the workforce in the past. We need all hands on board as soon as possible. That's all the bad news. Let's get to some solutions. First, Who am I, and why should you listen to me? My name is Tim Hawk, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Talent Strategy at NAS. I have more than 26 years of experience in the recruitment vertical. Through a series of happy accidents, I have ended up a bit of a subject matter expert in the space. I have a degree in advertising and to date have spent time on the recruitment marketing agency side, in direct recruiting, on the client side, in new technology and within the startup space, helping technologies enable candidates and clients to find each other faster and get their applications processed more efficiently. I've also spent time on the media side and in the job board realm, in addition to holding board member and advisory and guidance roles within the industry. All of this has been quite interesting and really put me in a unique spot for this moment in time. One of the very early influences on me related to human resources was the communications part of the industry. I had an internship in college at the Walt Disney World Business Program. And one of the examples of their very early initiatives within HR communications was that Walt Disney himself insisted that all applicants to jobs in the park receive a customized note thanking them for applying, regardless of whether or not they were offered a role, and that it include a ticket for free admission to the park. His thinking was multifold at that time. One, that people would bring another paying visitor to the park with them, hence generating business, and that because Orlando was essentially just orange groves at the time, that no candidate were to come away with a poor experience. He was very aware that the pool of candidates in the area was limited and that he wanted candidates to apply to other roles if they weren't initially successful in their initial applications. And also that he was a consumer-driven industry. He was in a consumer-driven business, so he couldn't afford his film division, his merchandise division, or other verticals to suffer because people didn't receive a positive response. So please, please keep in mind the long-ranging aspects of what we do every day. And this is my first plug to please audit your application process. When was the last time you took a hard and critical look at all of the communications and elements as part of your application process? Also, if you're not familiar with my employer, NAS, we're a recruitment marketing firm with a specialty in optimizing candidate attraction through storytelling, technology, and strategy. We've been in business for 75 years. This is our 75th anniversary, and have experience working across multiple industries: healthcare, food and beverage, hospitality, manufacturing, logistics, distribution, as well as retail, education, and security, to name just a few. Storytelling is all things brand, research, creative services, and working with in-house marketing and technology teams to implement those messages and get them out into the marketplace. Technology is a wide range of infrastructure elements that we engage to enable your ATS to be more of the candidate attraction and engagement tool it's meant to be. And strategy is all things digital and media, plus the arrangements to get your story to the market. Part of the benefit of having me share my presentation is that I'm able to share real partner site examples of work we have done, projects I've worked on over the years, and factoids from the industry along the way. The 5 areas I'll cover today are data, employer branding, diversity, agility, and adoption. I'll dig into all of these deeper during our time together today. Let's first take just a moment to discuss where candidates start their searches for jobs and how they end up finding your organization. Really good recent studies have told us that at least 71% of candidates begin their searches on Google, Bing, and the like. But I want to say that that figure varies wildly, because I've also heard studies tell us that the percentages are as high as 90 to 95% for candidates in the healthcare and hourly sector. But that said, 65% of candidates find your jobs via job boards. 43% are using professional social networks. Think LinkedIn, think associations, professional alumni groups, and the like. 35% go directly to your company career sites. Also, very, very important is, what do they want to see when they get there? The most important topics to candidates are culture and benefits information, how to apply for jobs, employee testimonials, video content, chatbot for information and interaction, and those numbers continue to grow and change. Chatbots are by far the newest evolution within this process, and the interest in them continues to be very popular. Data is a fantastic tool, a very, very important tool, which should really drive your site and content. Hence why that last slide is so vital to set our allocations and focus. If you don't know your numbers, you can't track improvement or decline. Trust me, everyone you work with wants to be able to track the gains and challenges you're experiencing with your career site and the candidate pipelines along the way, so that further in the process, they can track to see where there might be breakdowns and or how improvements could be made. Data is also very important because it proves your site's value to your organization. And being the pro that proves the value of that tool can help prove your value to the organization as well. The most important key performance indicators you can be tracking on your career site are click-through and application rates, popular pages, candidate pathing and behavior, as well as device access. Before we dive into those, it's important to know that in 2021, cost per application, or CPA, increased 43%. Cost per click on those jobs that are listed on job boards and the like increased by 54%. And apply rates increased by just 3% with all of that additional investment. Again, we have a huge problem in the industry, and I'm really hoping that today you'll take away some actionable ideas that will help you improve that process at your organization. Tracking your data lets you design, tweak, and improve your site and utilize your budget more efficiently as a result. Think of the data this way. Each click, swipe, pinch, or scroll is a hurdle for your candidates. You're losing a considerable percentage of those people after getting them to the site when you aren't able to get them through your site. The less friction you're able to put in their way, the better, and the more candidates you'll have to choose from in the long run. Let's dig into the elements to track. Click-through and application rates should be trackable. Don't let anyone tell you they aren't. Ideally, you want this information to be able to extract data and trends from your career site. If your site vendor or internal tech team can't provide you this info, it's time to look around, maybe for a new vendor who is willing to give you the information, or for an external team that can assist you in tracking this data. There are a lot of vendors who are able to assist with this whole process. Click-through rates relate to the amount of candidates that click upon and move through your site. This tracking is all done with cookies and pixels. Of special interest to you should be the amount of people who visit your organization's website, then the amount of people who click careers, jobs, employment, whatever your organization has termed that button. Also interesting are the comparison or the breakdowns of those numbers in relation to the candidates that once they've clicked careers, fully complete the application. Again, this is done with pixeling. Each start button or apply, visitor click, and then all the way through the final submit button click on your ATS, if your ATS is able to track that far into the process. I know that the likes of Workday or others, it is a bit challenging to have third-party vendors track all the way through to that final apply. So you end up with that stumbling block a bit, but you're often able to match numbers and extract them from that process to be able to determine how many people are making it all the way through. All of this data is showing your career site content conversions. This is a way for you to determine what content on your site is most engaging and or engaging enough as part of that handoff and the full functioning through your ATS to make certain that candidate process is moving smoothly through a funnel. Popular pages and time on site are also very meaningful. You want to be able to analyze what content is pulling the greatest amount of interest in, as well as changes in trends over time. Popular pages and content topics allow you the options to mix both popular and less popular information on a same page so that you're able to minimize the amount of site pages, and or to determine where to place things like seasonal hiring information announcements or special notices so that that information gets the most attention. Time on site illustrates in many cases if you have the correct content. If people end up visiting your career site and immediately bounce off or leave, that's a huge sign. There's work to do on both the design and the content. It could also be that candidates aren't finding the information they want or need, or it could also reflect complications within your site navigation. You need to dig into those problems as soon as possible to determine how to improve upon them. This data information is by no means sexy, but you're often spending thousands upon thousands of dollars in recruitment media of various types. And if the site you are sending the candidates to is the problem, you're throwing good money away after bad. And in many cases, you can be creating angry candidates. If your organization is consumer facing, as I mentioned earlier with Disney, you can also be affecting long-term sales. People have very long memories and don't want to give money to organizations with whom they've had a terrible apply process or couldn't complete the apply process. Candidate pathing is the process of analyzing a candidate's movements through your site. And there are pages that you want to determine if they are totally being overlooked. Are there spots within the site with enormous amounts of drop off? Why is that happening? I cannot stress enough to you how important testing is. I've discussed strategies and options with clients for years, and very few ever test or return to their sites much beyond launch. Really look at your site like a candidate, not as an HR professional. Think of it like an hourly employee would. Think of it as a salaried employee would, as an intern. Ask people who fit into your target demographics for your roles to apply and get their opinions. Really focus group it. I beg you, test it on new phones, old phones, Android, Apple, and tablets. This will all allow you to determine the quality of your mobile responsive design. If you want to experiment with sites in their mobile format, you can actually do that as well from your laptop. While on your site, on a laptop, simply hit Function and F12 simultaneously. It will render the page in a window in standard mobile formats. You'll be able to test all the way through your ATS submission. You need to develop strategies for all mobile device types, as well as for laptops. It's important to know that we see over 90% of candidates who apply for hourly and healthcare openings begin their searches on mobile devices. So if you're hiring in those sectors, really make sure that your site is mobile responsive. The right-hand side of the screen illustrates one of my favorite testing options. This is a tool we utilize a bunch for partner sites. It's called heat mapping. Heat mapping is a terrific indicator of candidate interests. Not only what they're interested in, but what they spend time reviewing on the site and where they click most often. Often this allows us to balance out areas of interest on a website, so the areas of greatest interest can be placed evenly across a page and not consume the viewer's eyeballs in only one area of the page. Let me share some partner site comparisons before and after. On the left-hand side of the page, we see the original Longhorn Steakhouse website prior to our work with them. We immediately discovered upon analysis through that heat mapping that the prioritization of elements on the page was out of order. We were able to restructure the page to allow candidates a smooth research, search, and application process. We focused on the top of the page on allowing candidates to choose between hourly and management roles. We call these collections of positions job families. And through a series of very few clicks, candidates have been able to end up in their area of greatest interest. This is especially important to candidates who have grown up with the internet being a consumer-focused tool for them, because they're not interested in an experience that's not customized for them. Think of Amazon, for example, and how when you return to the site, it's very focused upon your search history in the past, what you purchased in the past, etc. Candidates want the career site experience to feel that way for them as well. Job families that I mentioned earlier allow the site to feel very much like a journey of ongoing narrowing and customization, which keeps younger candidates, generations younger than me, engaged in the site. We also give several options for searching and discovering positions, whether it's text search, geo search, or those job family choices. You're able to find the position you're interested in applying for in a number of different ways. Longhorn's career page on the right, after we've made the alterations to it, also includes a considerable focus on employee-driven social media content about what it's like to work there, what a day in the life of a Longhorn employee is like. Both of these Papa John's pages are from the interim site we had built out for them while we were building their long-term launch site. The pie slices on the left-hand side of the page are all interactive content areas with job family information contained therein. Once within each area, we balanced out the page to allow candidates the most easily navigatable page content to get through the application process. Because so many of the Papa John's positions, whether it be delivery, pizza maker, or distribution side, are hourly in nature, it was super important for us to focus on making the site really intuitive for mobile device users. Since these interim pages were retired, we've launched another very, again, mobile-friendly site, which is anchored by a ton of video to also draw in the interest of the hourly candidates. I know this headline about delivering authenticity through brand seems really simple. Alas, we could all name 4 or 5 organizations that break this rule or really struggle with it. These may, as the please don't do's, be very hard to read, but that's a bit on purpose, again, because I don't want you to do them. If you are about to post a slogan that feels familiar, don't. It likely feels familiar because someone else is already using it. Back of mind psychologically, you think, oh, that's a good idea. It feels very good to me. But no, the same snippet that works perfect for your local bakery should not work if you're a casino, a hospital, or an energy provider. Things should have unique messaging. Also, stock photography was at one point charming and super useful. Now, the same unique mix of diverse candidates sitting around a gleaming conference room table smiling is featured in a ton of recruitment marketing materials, again, for bakeries, casinos, hospitals, and energy companies. It shouldn't be. Don't get caught reusing the same image as everyone else. If your team doesn't have a marketing group or doesn't have anyone familiar with photography or capable of doing photography, please note that every town has a wedding photographer in it available Monday through Thursday to come to your company and take pictures of real employees. They will welcome working with you on days that aren't their busiest. On my wedding day, for example, we eloped, but wanted to have a photographer with us. He was our Uber driver, served as our witness in Nevada, and was delighted because it was on a Thursday. I asked, are you sure you aren't too busy? And he said, for a Saturday or Sunday, I would have laughed at you, but a Thursday, I'll do half of my traditional hourly rate and I'll waive all of my minimums. It ended up being such a good deal that we had him take an additional ton of headshots and things like that that we use for work every day. So summary, make your content materials specific to you, your organization, and your specific niche. So now some terrific live samples and examples of candidate-facing materials. We work with Ross and Attendees. They are wonderful partners. Our big focus with them was to pay attention and really appreciate their consumer-facing message and weave into it a career one. We launched Bargain Treasures, Valuable Careers, Ross Has It All. Now, that may initially seem like an obvious option, but it wasn't. And, in working with their marketing teams, we really melded together a few ideas into that message that supported both their overall marketing message as well as addressed careers and implies long-term growth opportunities within the team. Additionally, note that as COVID developed, we immediately assisted all of our partners with defining how employees and organizations would be protected, plus that employee safety was #1, as well as what the employer should be expecting from candidates, and prioritizing that employee safety was that #1 focus. As the pandemic, pardon me, evolved, we made certain that we were in constant contact with and built out different options for our partners nationally, regionally, and locally to make certain they had all the resources they needed to reassure candidates that they remained aware of what the regulations were and on the cutting edges of safety. This is Dent Wizard. Car work is really a passion for them as well as for the candidates they seek. They are sort of auto technicians that focus only on auto body. They're very hands-on and have very specific needs of their candidates. The tagline we developed for them was, "Do your magic and earn big, be a wizard." Clearly, very short, very concise, and addresses the potential for great long-term income as well. Learning Care Group is a nationwide entity, the parent organization of many sub companies and brands. They chose Start Kids Strong, Discover a Powerful Career. It's important to note that that's their larger overreaching tagline, and it reinforces the care of people's children. Then under each of their sub-brands within that larger umbrella, they differentiate each of those unique brands with unique taglines as well. Here's a terrific example of the previous authenticity elements I covered all within one partner page. These are real non-stock photo examples of OU's current employees. Each of the individuals within the campaign gives their own testimonial direct to their career site visitors and has a unique and compelling message for those candidates. Imagine the pride of being one of the employees featured on the career page. You as an employer could even make it part of an honor, part of Employee of the Year or the like. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging issues have always been paramount to a well-rounded organization, and especially within outbound messaging and imagery. These days, generationally, it's an imperative as well. As we see teams focusing more and more of their recruitment budget on diversity, organizations that either choose not to address the topic at all or handle it badly really suffer. If people don't see themselves in your candidate experience or in your outbound messaging, they aren't likely to feel welcome or apply. These are the stats that make up the supporting evidence to my generational comment from the prior slide. There's really no need to debate the value of diversity because study after study illustrates it's vitally important, and younger generations have come to expect it. As you can see here, 44% of the millennial generation and younger are from diverse populations. Almost 75% of candidates note considering diversity as an important factor when looking for their next opportunity. More than 50% of the population wants their current workplace to be more diverse than it is. So this is a great example as well. We worked with Papa John's again to promote both their diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, as well as their employee resource groups within their site. Additionally, we promoted the awards and the commendations they've received for their work in the space. It's really reassuring to candidates to be able to see that in the long run, organizations are being rewarded for the amount of effort they are putting forward as well. Agility and COVID are seldom used in the same sentence, yet agility was the first thing many organizations needed to focus upon as soon as COVID, or quite honestly, insert any crisis here, develops. You must respond to issues, especially issues as big as COVID, in all of your recruitment marketing materials. It would be ideal to be proactive enough to anticipate things like this, but agile reaction is almost as good. Employment branding is vital. I feel like organizations sometimes feel it's the third rail of their messaging, because it really ideally should include marketing, talent acquisition, and HR, and in many, many case scenarios, technology, your internal technology teams. It's sometimes hard to get all of those teams to agree or even in the same room, because everyone has their own responsibilities and in many cases are working on different initiatives, and it's hard to pull them together. Recently, I had a partner tell me, our site, recruitment brand, and all is awesome. We just launched it. I said, great, when did you launch it? He responded with, I remember it distinctly. It was the weekend my son was born. And I said, oh, congratulations, like thinking he had a brand new child. And he then said, he's in school now. So I'm assuming he meant preschool or the like, but still, time gets away from us. You need to keep things within the site fresh and updated on a regular basis. As your business and the world continues to evolve, you need to make a constant effort to update and tweak your site, the taglines, and job descriptions. For example, I mean, no one saw the current wave of work from home options coming. If any of you have roles that allow for remote work options or even nomadic work, like there will never be a need to go into the office, how many of you have taken the initiative to update your job descriptions to accommodate all of those types of changes? It's really vital. Keep in mind things like many organizations still require a single geographic pinpoint to be listed for each job rec. Then often your ATS allows that info to be pulled into the job ad feeds that get distributed across the internet. Now, instead of hiring candidates in any major metropolitan area in the US with an internet connection, you are limiting yourself to advertising only a single opening in one spot in Portland, Oregon, for example. It's really imperative to stay on the cutting edge of changing job descriptions to be inclusive as well. We see a wide variety of studies that tell us that job descriptions include inherent bias in the way that the language is written, as well as should be more inclusive of the many unique pronouns people choose, etc. As I mentioned, COVID was a bit of a hair on fire moment for a wide variety of our partners. Instantly, and especially within healthcare, our partners needed their locations and public-facing roles to represent and incorporate mask usage immediately, especially within the imagery. And we continue to evolve that imagery as the pandemic continues to change and evolve. Here you'll see many different healthcare organizations that incorporated masks within their outbound messaging. Finally, testimonials and video. These are both fantastic ways to keep your candidate materials evolving and incorporating new and really relevant information. The added benefit is that you can often cross-promote those materials as well. With the advances in phone cameras, terrific video, terrific casual Instagram or YouTube worthy video can be taken by a phone and incorporated into your recruitment marketing, and then again cross-promoted on some of those social outlets. That's a twofer in my book. Testimonials are also a terrific way to incorporate the authenticity I mentioned earlier. What's a day in the life of a retail employee like at a furniture store? Value City has posted its employees' thoughts, and keep in mind that at this point, you can take into consideration the last two elements we discussed as well. Use this opportunity to utilize a diverse population of employees to update and change testimonials frequently to remain agile. For example, is it August? Begin incorporating testimonials about your holiday hiring or any other seasonal focus your organization may have at that time. Okay, I have to confess, I'm afraid the SHRM-New Mexico team is going to have a heart attack when I say that I've changed this next slide from what I initially submitted. These days, options for reaching candidates are changing so quickly, it's hard to predict next week what you're going to use. So I've updated this slide to best incorporate what I'm seeing right now with some of our partners and what they're getting the best ROI from. Remember, the outreach to candidates is a bit of a game. You definitely want to be reaching the candidates where they are looking for you on job boards, for example, and then route them back to your career site. But there's a wide range of other options out there to meet potential candidates who aren't actively looking. From a media standpoint, please consider social. Social has a wide variety of options included with it, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest. Those are just a few interesting options, not to mention Twitch. Is anyone familiar or using Twitch? It's essentially a internet channel where people are live streaming themselves playing video games and the like. But similar to all other broadcast media options, it allows advertising. Bingo, it's perfect for reaching hourly employees. The messages are shorter and more concise than your typical 30-second television advertisement, but it really is a terrific opportunity to get your message out into that vertical. Other options are the likes of programmatic satellite radio buys. And also this tangentially touches upon a bit of one of my favorite topics. It's piggybacking research. My goodness, if it weren't for Indeed and ZipRecruiter, I'm not certain that in some ad markets on satellite there would be any ads. Keep in mind, they are trying to reach us, HR professionals, with their message of, utilize us to get candidates to apply for jobs. They're also attempting to reach small business owners. And if they wouldn't, they wouldn't be pursuing that if there wasn't a committable ROI in it for them, if they weren't able to track that all the way back. So do you have recruiter or HR roles? They've done their research. Definitely piggyback off of that research that they've already done and advertise your roles there. Other trends, out-of-home media, billboards, bus stop displays, cling signage on doors is making a huge comeback. Physical USPS mail and postcards, for example, as well as gift emails. Gift emails are a tool wherein you send candidates, potential candidates, a Starbucks gift card credit or similar, and they're able to redeem it after they've read your message. All of these remind me of one of my favorite and, in my mind, the most overlooked candidate reach options, and that's your own existing data. Mine and re-mine your ATS. Were there candidates that you made offers to a year ago that didn't accept or respond? Reach out to those candidates again. Ghosted, don't resent those candidates. Reach out to them again further down the line, 6 months, a year. Often during that period of time, the candidates' perspectives change. They mature and get back to you and are ready to pursue an opportunity. Employees who left, for example, who were rehireable at the time of departure, reach out to them again. Sometimes the grass is not always greener. And if you can schedule a 30, 60, 90-day, 6-month message to those candidates to see if they are still happy in their new role or would be interested in coming back, that has a ton of opportunity built into it. Additionally, you can be messaging some of those types of candidates for employee referral options as well. You can commit to, giving candidates that they deliver to you, a reward for that lead that they've given you. So definitely consider all of those. They are all gold mines. But additionally, tech continues to evolve too. Earlier, I mentioned chatbots and text to apply, both very, very important in the market these days. Additionally, things like even QR codes are having a heyday right now. So now a fun, I hope, offer to all of the attendees of the conference. I'm giving people who reach out the opportunity to Zoom chat about their career site and their candidate experience. You can also tell me 2 of your competitors in the space, and I'll pull a bunch of data together to compare and contrast your market presence to those competitors. It's a bit of a thank you for listening to how passionately I care about the topic of recruitment marketing. Thank you for your interest and your attention to the topic of the candidate experience. Your assessment that I mentioned would look something like this. We take into consideration a bunch of really unique value points to the candidate. I would touch upon topics that should be important to your organization and that we've talked about today: brand consistency, career site experience, search engine ranking, mobile experience, the application process. That portion largely focuses on your ATS experience, your organization's social presence, and Glassdoor and Indeed activities and reviews as well. It's uniquely valuable if you've never dug into it before. And again, we also compare you to 2 of your competitors and provide some other terrific research. So either feel free to stop by my booth here at the conference or to sign up and reach out to me via my contact information. Here's all of the contact information in the event that you would like to connect, or again, please feel free to stop by my booth and drop off your business card. And if you're interested in that candidate experience assessment, don't forget to include the competitors in your outreach who you would like that comparison and contrast to. Again, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate the focus, and I'm hoping that everyone has a terrific conference here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Enjoy and travel home carefully.